Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. 2611 mastermind Tahawwur Rana has been successfully extradited by the NIA from the US, with sources revealing that the 2008 Mumbai terror attack plotter is now on Indian soil after landing at the Palam airport in Delhi. As per our sources, Tahawwur Rana is en route to the NIA headquarters after officials initiated the process to arrest him. Tahawwur Rana will now be interrogated at the NIA headquarters, with sources stating that a team of 2 Inspector Generals, 1 Deputy Inspector General and 1 Superintendent of Police have been formed to question Rana and take further action. DG NIA Sadanand Date, IG Ashish Batra and DIG JR Roy have been roped in for investigations. All eyes are on Sadanand Date, the Director General of NIA, who will lead this interrogation. Date did sustain injuries during the 2008 attacks. He was one of the first responders to face Ajmal Kasab and Abu Ismail in the heat of the siege. Much of the groundwork that persuaded American authorities to allow Rana's extradition was laid by a case built under Mr. Date's leadership at the NIA. Sources also reveal that Rana will be kept in a cell built on the ground floor of the NIA headquarters, where his medical will also be conducted. Only 12 people will be allowed entry into the investigation cell. 17 years on from the 2611 terror attacks, the extradition has sparked hope for justice and is being touted as a huge diplomatic win for India. We'll talk about this, but interestingly, let's also listen into what Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Shafqat Ali Khan had to say in context of Tahawwur Rana's extradition.
On the Tahawwur Rana issue, we have conveyed our position regarding his Canadian nationality. And as far as our record indicates, he did not even apply for renewal of his Pakistani origin documents for the last 2 decades. I reiterate position. We will give further updates in due course.
Major General Sudhakar Ji, geopolitics, strategy and defense expert, joins us on the show. Ambassador Pradeep Kapoor, former diplomat, with us on the program as well. Major General G.G. Dwivedi, global strategic defense expert, also joins us on the program to talk more about this. General Dwivedi, I'll begin with you. Well, it's funny that the Pakistani authorities have already tried to clarify that they have no connection with Tahawwur Rana, before things have even begun in India in terms of an investigation and what comes out. This is also perhaps, General Dwivedi, a reaction of presumption of guilt, which Pakistan is perhaps always reeling under. But the fact of the matter is, what kind of information can be extricated out of Tahawwur Rana? Is he going to be singing like a canary, or is he going to be tight-lipped? Or do you think he's had long years to practice of what to say and how to fill in the anomalies which will be brought in front of him?
Thank you, Vineet. I think you gave a very elaborate introduction. First and foremost, it's quite creditable for Indian diplomatic leadership and also the intelligence agencies that we have been able to get the prime accused in the 2611 horrific attack on Bombay. And secondly, Pakistan would always be in denial mode because they know that they were the ISI was the main agency behind this horrific attack, and so their guilt is of course quite visible, and they have taken certain preemptive actions to ensure that it is like a preemptive move, but that will not actually help them out. So here, as you asked a very pertinent question, whether the Tahawwur Rana will come out or will he really act tough, I think he is quite a hardened accused criminal. So he will not be very easy to break in, but at the end of it, I am sure our NIA leadership would be able to get to the root of the issues. And secondly, it's very important because now the ISI link will be established, because after all, how long Rana can be tight-lipped? And I think he will come out with the reality, the ground situation, which will nail ISI role in this whole, very horrific attack. My last 2 points are, first and foremost, we need to understand that Pakistan is the hub of terrorism. he has the Rana has the initial, credentials of being ex-Pakistan Canadian doctor. So therefore, you can't wish away the past of a person. And the second very important point is that Pakistan will continue to deny, even if Rana admits and the whole truth comes out. But Pakistan has always denied its role, and that will also be the reality here. But the point is that we will have a very important point to prove that after all it was Pakistan perpetrated and it was the ISI which were behind this very, very horrendous attack on Indian soil in Mumbai, where we lost 156 precious lives, and it was very psychological also a setback for our city and our country. Vinny.
Hmm. General Sudhakarji, how do you weigh in into this extremely delicate situation? First up, we should all be hailing the fact that the international cooperation when it comes to dealing of terror has been exemplified through the victory that India has achieved by getting this man in India for interrogation.
Good evening, Vinay. Thank you for getting me to your show. Compliments to very distinguished and esteemed co-panelists. This is, I would say, in response to your question, I look at it as a major milestone, a big breakthrough, diplomatic, political, and what have you. I think for India, it is a golden milestone. But that is only a tip of the iceberg as far as the achievement is concerned. We have a long way to go. Why long way? Because we have willy-nilly wasted good almost 17 years now, which perhaps in my opinion could have been speeded up, could have been fast-tracked. Maybe there were the reality in the environment or the US dispensation was not cooperative. Finally the day has come. We are very thankful to Donald Trump. It is because of one man's personality, I think it has made the turnaround, and more than that, our political leadership of the country. It is our Honorable Prime Minister who made the move. And in January when he visited, he made this point, and finally he's here. But to answer the core issue of your question, I would say that he is not battle hardened, he is a criminal hardened person who is very educated, who has had enough of time to formulate a coherent counter strategy, how to get away from the labyrinth of the law or the justice. In my opinion, no matter what contingency we plan, Indian intelligence agencies under the top leadership of NIA, they should be prepared for the worst eventuality. Now, what is the worst eventuality? The worst eventuality in the present circumstances, in my opinion, is that this guy is going to give you misleading information. He will take you round and round, and he will put you through a cloud of disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation, which perhaps will be a long drawn affair. So therefore, if we prepare for this, then what is the long-term strategy that we are looking at? Merely convicting him or making him face the trial and sending him to gallows, is that the answer? Or to discover the ecosystem, discover and establish the ecosystem. So what is the ecosystem we are looking at? This guy was in link with Lashkar-e-Toiba. He was in league with the ISI. To the best of my, as a student of geopolitics and security and strategy, he was in link with the Pakistan Army. There is in the military operations and the DGMO of Pakistan, there is a section which was directly in link with the ISI, particularly for this operation. Mind you, this is not a classical counter-terrorist or trans-border terrorist operation. It involved the Pakistan Navy. It involved movement from the ship to the shore of our Mumbai, and it involved movement from the shore after having come to the landing site. From there, he being guided to the target area. Was the target area Taj Hotel alone? Because I was sitting in a couple of channels. What has emerged in those channels is that perhaps they had a long list of targets. So what are those targets? Who were actually instrumental of who, without the inside mole in India, Vinay, you will agree with me that such a kind of a mastermind operation, even military professional special operations cannot be conducted like this.
You're
So there
absolutely
has
right.
to be somebody from within the country. Who is that somebody? We need to nail it down. And here actually keeping him or preserving him is of utmost importance to me also. I suspect that his life may be in danger, or he himself may take very extreme steps, because he knows the consequences of denial of information. If it doesn't actually budge, then he may take recourse to any kind of a harsh measure. So therefore, to keep in view all these aspects, our aim should be not only to send him to gallows or to make him face the trial, but also to identify and establish the ecosystem in Pakistan which was in support. You have already given in the preamble in your statement, the Pakistani official, they have started washing of the hand. Sorry, he has not renewed his or not applied for renewal of it. That means they are trying to distance from this particular thing, mindful of the fact the consequences that are going to unfold, which are going to be detrimental and against the interest of Pakistan. Back to you, Vinay.
All right. Let me also rope in Mr. Sanjay Sahai into this conversation. Mr. Sahai, there are going to be a lot of intricacies when it comes to the approach that's going to be undertaken towards this investigation. One fact is that there is going to be zero cooperation. The other is there will be cooperation, and what to do about it. In both these scenarios, it's important to understand that the burden will be on the agencies to figure out how to in fact nail those people, like General Sudhakarji also said, who were involved from within the country as well as from Pakistan in orchestrating this crime.
Zero cooperation on the Pakistani side, it is a given. All we can do is to bring it to a level wherein we can pinpoint that these agencies, these people, and the state itself was a part of this whole exercise, which has neatly been done as far as the investigation has been conducted so far. So we are not moving it, we are not groping in the dark. So there are reference points, there are data points on which this whole thing has been built up, and charge sheet was submitted, and trial went on, and convictions happened, and Kasab went to the gallows as well. Now, the authenticity of this investigation is proven by the US courts and cleared by the US Supreme Court, and finally it has the stamp of the President of the US, and that is how the extradition has happened. For me, this whole thing might be there is a good amount of investigation still to be done. And in cases of extradition, even if in absentia, judicial trial has happened, so it has to happen all over again, depending on whatever the terms and conditions of extradition is. What is equally important is on the Indian side. The Indian side, there are people, sleeper cells or whatever you call it, there are connections in India. It is not that this whole reconnaissance was happening just out of the blue and he was able to move all around the place. Only with David Headley moving all around the place, only with Rana providing him immigration consultancy services and some office which they had opened in Bombay. So this whole thing has to be unraveled, and these people with Rana will be able to provide us a bigger picture. Convicting Rana for whatever he has done, that is a simpler thing, and for which evidence is readily available for those particular crimes which has been authenticated, legally authenticated, taken through the due judicial process in the extradition exercise which has happened in the US. Based on whatever happens in India, I think we should be in a position to pinpoint it with a much greater level of precision as to what has happened in Pakistan. The other point which I want to bring it to the notice of the audience is that there is a huge amount of technical evidence which would be available. And it was the technical evidence which was able to pinpoint to the place from where this whole operation was being handled. So the state will be in denial. There will not be any circumstantial evidence to which you will have access to, or any document or any support, while lip service will be given. As far as support is concerned, actually it will not be so. So the technical evidence will be of monumental value, and how do you piece that evidence, that is very, very important. While the rest of the investigation happens, supplementary charge sheet happens, judicial trial goes on, and this fellow heads for conviction depending on whatever is available with us. Now the most important part is unraveling the whole game plan. as to how it has happened, what was the blueprint, and how did the execution happen, and did the execution stop somewhere in between? And there was to be a much bigger calamity which was in store. And that could, because Kasab was caught and variety of other things, it was stopped. So I think the real unraveling, we have reached the cake, the icing on the cake has to happen to make it one of the biggest watershed investigations in terror investigation in this country ever. And it is a golden opportunity. Huge amount of legwork has been done to bring this fellow back to India. And having done so, I think this is the right moment. We put all our energies and a complete inter-agency cooperation, which is already there. So I look it from that angle.
Ambassador Kapoor, do you also think that this move has a very large, a very palpable political residue about it as well? I mean, it should all be credited to Donald Trump as well, right? He made this happen. There were a lot of presidents who came before him after 26/11, but this was always a bone of contention. Of course, that's the American legal system taking its own course is also another technicality. But the fact of the matter is that if it's as sensitive as terrorism, these matters can be expedited, and that's exactly what's been done here.
Thank you very much, Vineet. It is indeed a big watershed movement in the evolution of our fight against terrorism, as the distinguished co-panelists have also pointed out. And it also points to the fact that when you get cooperation from the partner countries, it makes a lot of difference, in the sense that otherwise it becomes an impossible task. Now, we have to also analyze ourselves a little bit, in the sense that when I was ambassador of India to Chile in the second decade of 2009 onwards till about 2014, in 2011 Chile caught Abdul Rauf over some misrepresentation in his entry documents. Now, at that stage, Abdul Rauf had already been convicted and indicted by Allahabad High Court for the Kandahar hijackings. And Chile did not have any mutual legal assistance treaties with India at that point of time, but we had sufficient relationship with people right up to the president to be able to request them to help extradite him to India. Chile had already informed India that he had been caught, and India had not moved for 4-5 months. So as ambassador, I was summoned to the Foreign Office, and to make a whole long story short, this is the first time that I'm talking about it in an open channel, in an open way. Abdul Rauf, it was very possible for the Indian authorities to get him back to India. They had agreed, the Chileans had agreed to do it very quietly, so that he could face persecution, because there was also a red corner alert notice on Interpol by India. But finally, I was told by the Indian authorities that we don't want Abdul Rauf, and the excuse that was made at that time by the then Indian government was very shocking to me, and it made me go through sleepless nights for a very long time, and I just could not understand it for a very long time as to how it could have been done, because his main conviction was based on the Kandahar hijacking, and then he was able to get his brother Masood Azhar free with that hijacking. So later I learned that the pressure on the government of India was put by Pakistan through China to ask him not to be brought back to India. So that was very, very, it was treasonous act by our own people, which is very difficult to explain away through history. So now, if we have been able to fight a case, and I've seen the frailties of the Indian system also in this way, but if we are unified in our approach, if we are thorough in our research, in our groundwork, and if we are able to now put pressure, because already in the US, that sort of ecosystem is there now, that they don't want these sort of terrorists hanging around on their soil. So how do we move ahead to the bigger game plan? How do we get, for example, Panun or the other people who are declared or self-declared terrorists, how do we, and we have already made pitch to Canada also for extraditing a lot of terrorists who have already been convicted. So how do we then move ahead to look at the bigger picture? How do we tell, because even at the time that Abdul Rauf was caught in Chile, Pakistan made a strange statement that, oh, Abdul Rauf is in his village in Pakistan. And that was a very shoddy statement to make, because if he's in Pakistan and if they know his whereabouts, why is he not being extradited? Because he's already indicted and convicted in the Kandahar hijacking. But they made that sort of statement. So they do tell lies through their teeth all the time. It is very normal for Pakistan to do that. They have no credibility on the global stage, as everybody knows. So I think it's time for India now, after seeing the seriousness of the current government for the last 11 years, they have been able to move forward very dynamically, very robustly, and that effort has to be further strengthened. And we have to make sure that this whole ecosystem of terrorism, right from the ground roots to the other end, where sleeper cells may be there or financing is there, how do we now slowly chip away at all those aspects so that ultimately the perpetrators are brought to justice, the supporters are also exposed completely, and this ecosystem can be controlled in a positive way for the country and for the world in the future. Back to you, Vineet.
All right. Important to understand, General Dwivedi, that there's going to be a lot of pressure when it comes to what can be extricated out of this man while he is in India and while punishment and justice awaits him. What do you expect authorities to use this information for?
Well, Vineet, first and foremost, I think the larger picture is clear. There are certain voids which needs to be validated. There are certain dots which need to join. So I think the investigation will be very focused. Where we want to fill in the void, where we want to validate the information. It will not be just a broad brush, it will be very pointed information to be extracted. The second point is that it's very difficult to break the ecosystem, because the countries deal with their own national case by case. Now what has happened with Rana will not be applicable to Panu, because he is an American citizen. So I think it cannot be one rule applies to all or one shoe fit all. It has to be case by case basis, and that's how the things progress. The third important point is that we need to take this investigation to logical conclusion, and it's going to take time, because our own judicial system is also it takes time to, because we gave a fair chance to the person who is convicted, and therefore it's going to take time. And the fourth, I would say, important point is that we need to do a lot of in-hand, at home, soul searching, because any act of this kind, it cannot be executed without the cooperation from the home state. So therefore, I think these are the areas that we need to plug in as to where did we go wrong, where were the places where we need to plug in, and so that such a thing doesn't happen again. And all I can say is this particular case will be a very defining case, and it will actually emerge as one of the successful cases that India has tackled as far as terrorism is concerned.
All right, sir.
Global.
All right, so we've run out of time. I appreciate everybody who joined us and weighed in on this important update. We're taking a short break. More on the other side.